So a few weeks back, on one of the Facebook pages that I follow, I saw somebody post a sign and it had words of inspiration going every which way. It was really cute. Then just very recently, I had this company, HTVRont, reach out to me and ask me if I would do a review of their vinyl, and I thought, what better way to use some of the vinyl than to go ahead and do a sign of my own. So what I did is I went to the Dollar Tree, and this is actually one of those birth announcement signs. It's a pretty good size. It's 9.5 inches wide, 13.5 inches tall, and I decided I could just flip it over. Now, if you didn't want this on the back, you could just paint over that. You could actually use this side. In my case, I'm just going to use the back. So let's look and see all the adhesive vinyl that I got in this package. There's 65 pieces of vinyl in here. Now, 10 of those are actually transfer tape. So you get either 54 or 55 pieces of the vinyl, and I'm going to pull this up on Amazon here in just a couple minutes so you can see what it is. 10 pieces of the transfer tape, and then this little scraper. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to see what's in here. Now, some of the colors you get multiples of, like this top one is a glossy black, then there's glossy white, matte black, looks like 4 more pieces of that, and then matte white. Then you start getting into the colors. And I'm just going to spread these out so you can kind of see what you get. It is a really nice variety of colors. This is kind of a nice starter set if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of rolls of vinyl. If you get this and you need some adhesive vinyl, you're probably going to have a color that will work for you. So a couple of metallic ones here. And we're just continuing on through here. You start getting to some lighter, bright colors. A really pale yellow. Oh, that's really cute. I like that. Kind of a melon orange. Okay, so here's what we have. Just a ton of beautiful colors. A lot of different shades of pink, a lot of different shades of blue, purples. Again, this is nice because you're going to find about any color you need here. All right, let's jump on the computer. I'll show you this on Amazon, but what I really want to do is show you my design. Here's the set of vinyl that I'm using today. Now mine looks just like this, except it didn't have this 65 pieces sticker on front. Maybe that's just for advertisement on Amazon. For my design, the first thing that I did was I just put a black rectangle the same size as my board. And then I just started typing words. I used 3 different fonts. I didn't want to have so many fonts that it started looking crazy. And you can see sometimes I typed upper and lowercase. And then like with grit, honesty, determination, kindness, and tenacity, I used all caps. I had a little extra space in the middle, so I just threw some hearts in there. Now to me, the tricky part will be getting all these words laid out perfectly on your board. So there's a couple different things you could do. Some people will add registration marks. So they might have little circles in each corner for every single layer. And then they put those marks over each other when they're layering their vinyl. The problem with that is, like the word kindness is way up here, you're going to have registration marks that you'll keep on there all the way down here. And so everything in between is waste. So what I decided to do was, I'm making a second layer. Let me show you how I did that. I'm taking my layer of words, get this where you can see it all. Okay, so I took my layer of words, I duplicated them, then I'm going to change the whole thing a single color, and I'm going to go with a fairly dark gray. Now I could either cut all of this and then lay my words exactly on top of the word it goes with. But in my case, I want to have just a little bit of a shadow outside. You won't really notice it because I'm going to put it down in black, but I think it's going to help me lay my vinyl down a little bit easier. Let me move this over so you can really see what I'm doing. So I have my single color layer of words. It's selected. I'll go up to offset. And then I want a tiny little offset. Let me increase this so you can see how this works. Okay, you see the blue lines? With a 0.25 inches, you would have a huge offset. I really don't want to see my offset so much. I just want it to help me in placing my words. So I'm going to go down to 0.02. When I hit return, it shows you what that would look like. And it's so small you can't really see it. I'm going to go up just a little bit. Let's try a 0.04. Okay, that's more what I was looking for. You can barely see it on the outside, but it's not big and bulky. So after hitting return, you see what it looks like, and then to actually get it, you click apply. Now what that does is it puts a layer behind your words, so I can delete my gray layer. Now just so you can see this a little bit better, I'm going to change it a color you can see. Let's go with red. Nah, that's a little too bright. Let's go with this blue. Then I'll lay my words on top of it. So I need to bring that layer to the front. I'll select both layers and then I'll line them up. Okay, so if I blow this up, you can see what's blue on here will actually be black vinyl, and it's barely going to stick outside the letters. The black vinyl is pretty much going to match my board, and I think this is the best way for me because it's going to waste less material. I think it's going to be easier as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the blue layer you see here, the one in back. I'll cut that out of matte black, and then I'm going to cut each one of these layers out of a vinyl that's pretty close to the color you see here. Maybe not exactly. I just did that to kind of visualize it. Then I'll meet you back at my desk. So after I turned the camera off, I thought of one more thing that I thought would really help make this easy. What I did was I added this rectangle, and this rectangle is going to fall just outside of my sign. So what this is going to do is it's going to help me lay this original layer down, which will be in black vinyl, and get it centered on my board. The other thing is I welded this all together. I noticed my hearts were kind of touching. Some of my letters were touching, so I wanted to go ahead and weld it so I wouldn't have cut lines everywhere. I have all my words cut out, and the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and lay this down. So I have some transfer tape on the front. This is just good old-fashioned clear contact paper. And then the first layer is Oracal removable vinyl. It's just a really inexpensive vinyl. What I find is rolling my backing straight back is usually the most successful way for me to remove it. Now sometimes you're going to have letters wanting to come up, like this right here. So you can just put it back down, kind of rub on it, push down. Just be patient. I know that's hard for me. Looks like I cut just a little bit deep. And so this paper backing is kind of wanting to stay down with some of the vinyl. But I'll get there. So the struggle you saw me have was because my cut was a little too deep. And so some of the paper was wanting to stick to the letters, and the letters didn't want to release. So before I turn this over, let me show you why I put this ring around the outside. This ring will fall just right outside of the black board, and that's going to help me make sure everything is straight. If a little bit of it sticks to the blackboard, not a big deal. I can easily remove it. So I'm going to put some wax paper down just so that my letters don't start sticking before I'm ready for them to. And what I'm actually going to do is place most of my transfer onto the wax paper. Then I can set it down over my board. Hopefully get the placement right where I want it. And then over here on the edge, where I can actually stick it down a little bit. I'll go ahead and rub it down onto the board. Then I can kind of pull this back. I think they call this the hinge method. Remove my wax paper. Well, shoot. Okay, it didn't work exactly how I had planned, but it still worked. My board hadn't really shifted any, so it still laid down in the right place. Just wasn't very smooth looking. Okay, I'm going to roll these down a little bit. Now once again, I'm going to pull this pretty much straight back. And it's going to be hard for you to tell that the letters are staying down because they're black and the board is black. But that's exactly the look I was going for. I didn't want my shadow to really jump out. I mainly wanted to use it as a guide. So just like I was saying before, pull it straight back across itself. Go nice and slow so that if you see things lifting up, you can put them right back down. Little squeegee tool or scraper, whatever it is coming in handy. So you see where those letters are lifting? If I push down underneath here, putting pressure against the board, it holds those down, and then when I pull the transfer paper back, the vinyl stays. Now I can reuse this, so I'll just set it aside. Okay. I don't know how well you can see that. I think you can see that pretty well. This is kind of the monotone or monochromatic, maybe that's what it's called, look I was going for. Again, I just barely want that to show. I mainly want to use it as a guide. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the smallest word, the word care. I did go ahead and see if I was using the right cut setting by starting to weed this after I cut this. It was the first word I cut, and it weeds really nicely. Now the setting that I used for this was vinyl. So I just typed in vinyl. It was at the very bottom of the vinyl options. And then this vinyl is a little thin, so I decreased the pressure. So where it says default, I changed that to less. Also, I cut off some of the transfer tape. I wanted to see how sticky it was. I really do not like super sticky transfer tapes. And this isn't bad. I like that. If it's a little too sticky for you, you could put it up against your t-shirt. But I really thought it was a pretty nice tack. Now, I haven't tried to see how well it lifts up the letters. Just like before, I'm going to flip it over and just roll the backing off. And that is coming off very nicely. So unlike the black vinyl I used, the backing on it truly is a paper. It's a thick, not really a cardboard or anything like that, but a thick paper. And so it cuts through. This is more like the backing on HTV. It's more of a plasticky backing. So it comes off nicely. And even if it cuts down into it just a little bit, it doesn't have the layers like paper, so it came off really easily. Okay, so my word care, which you probably can't see because it's black, is right here. So I'm going to get over it. You might see my head. If you do, I'll just edit that out. And I'm going to place the word care right on top of it. Okay, I think I have that nice. Just going to rub down over the word. And that came off very easily. Before I started, I was a little worried about the transfer tape wanting to pull up my black letters. So that's why I cut it out earlier, to see how sticky it was. And it's really a good tack. Now, if I have any short words, I can reuse this. Let me see. Okay, I think my hearts would work with this. Again, that weeds super nicely. I really do like the backing on this. I'm trying to think if my other vinyls, if any of them have this. I don't really think they do. I think the other vinyls have paper backing. All right, so I'll get right over my hearts again. So there's what I have so far. Hopefully you can see just the little bit of black shadow sticking out. It really just gives it a little dimension. If I didn't want any of the black to show, I could have made the black layer the exact same size as the top layer. You could even do an inset and make it a little smaller. But again, I wanted just a little bit of black to show. Now I'm going to go ahead and zip through the rest of these. I'll just speed up the video and I'll show you the project at the end. So all in all, I think this looks pretty good. I do notice that I didn't get the word loyalty really centered on the black, and the word grit, because there's so large of pieces in it, has a few little bubbles. I see a little bubble here. But this turned out really cute. So here's my final thoughts on the vinyl. Super easy to work with. I absolutely love the backing that it comes on, because you don't cut through it and cause layers. You saw how my black layer stuck where it cut just a little bit too deep. That's not going to happen like this. This isn't going to stay on the back unless you cut all the way through this. So I really like that aspect of it. I love how many colors you get, the variety. Now, the one thing that you would need to know about this is it is thinner than Cricut vinyl. It is still plenty thick. It gets the job done. But if you like a thick vinyl, you probably want to look elsewhere. If you don't mind a thinner vinyl, this is wonderful. So I'll get my twine back on it so that I can hang this tomorrow in my office. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end. Until my next video. Bye-bye.